Hello. Okay. Let's put that round ball there. That's more like it. All right. I don't see that anybody has joined live yet, but out of interest of sticking with our timeline, since we do have the Deflex Ask the Trainer interviews coming shortly after, I'm gonna go ahead and begin. So if you are joining, you should be able to access this entire video afterward. I believe it should be all located on the YouTube subscription channel. So fantastic. Oh, I have seen that someone is on. So hello and welcome. And unless there's a comment, I won't know that you are here. So that is that. Just, you can go up, please. Okay. My dog is being cared for right now, so she will not be in the video this evening. So Charming says hi and she will miss you all. All right. So let's start in a comfortable seated position. I'm going to rest my hands on top of the thighs. You might choose to do the same, or you could also choose to let the palms face upward towards the ceiling or the sky. Let's relax our eyes into the closed position. Relax your shoulders. Take a big deep inhale through your nose. And then exhale long through your nose. Let's do that 2 more times. Very nice. We're gonna go ahead and softly open up our eyes. We're gonna take those hands and just reposition them forward onto the floor and just start to walk those hands forward. Might not be your deepest fold, maybe even just to a gentle level. And we'll tuck the chin towards our chest, rounding the upper back. Breathe into the back body. And we'll start to walk those hands back up towards the torso. We're going to take those arms out to the sides of our body. Let's inhale, rise the arms all the way up straight towards the ceiling. Bringing the fingertips together. See if you can create that connection. Pushing the fingertips together, lifting through your heart, lifting through your gaze, lifting through your spine. Perhaps feeling a little challenge in the lift, but that's all right. We're going to breathe into the side body, breathe into the back body. We're going to hold this for another full cycle of breath. Let it all the way out. And then bring the hands to prayer, sliding them back down towards heart center. Wonderful. We're going to go ahead and take our legs back into a tabletop position. And I'd like to review the difference between child's pose and puppy pose tonight. They're fantastic variations of each other. So in child's pose, what we're going to do is start with our knees just at neutral. I know my shirt's kind of covering the way here, but our knees, we're going to call hip straight down to the floor where my knees are floating. That's neutral, whereas this would be narrow, and then this would be wide. And we're gonna kind of experiment with all 3. So let's start with just neutral, and we're going to sit back onto the heels and slide the arms all the way forward, allowing the forehead to come in contact with the mat. Now, if your knees don't bend to their fullest extent, then you might be risen a little bit up off of the floor. And so puppy pose is very similar, and you can use the same variations with your knee position where the hips are actually stacked on top of the knees. So if that's the case, then this is a lot more comfortable, but it does change what happens with your spine. So we're going to let those arms come out straight, just like so, or like so. And the difference is it changes what happens at the lower back and the thoracic spine. So let's take a few cycles of breath here. that my doorbell? For real? I'm on a live internet thing right now. I cannot. I'm sorry. Now it's not a good time. Some children at the door. I don't even know. Okay. I'm live. There's children at the door. I don't know. This is not a good time. Live on YouTube right now. Okay, so we're going to switch that child's pose up. I apologize for the interruption. So we're going to take the legs now, and we're going to bring them really close together and sit back on those heels and stretch the arms out, taking the forehead down to the mat, relaxing through the body. That's how Mom's getting back in. Mom's walking charming. That's how she's coming back in to not interrupt the video, but now you're interrupting the video even more. Well, I just warned you all that I was going live. We're going to go ahead and rise back up, taking those knees nice and wide apart, and then sitting back on the heels and stretching out again. So we're just taking all of these variations of our child's pose to feel the differences in the body. And I'm not indicating whether one is better or worse than the other, but just that there are variations so that you can be the most comfortable in your posture. So we'll stretch those arms out, dropping the forearm down once again. And this is also allowing our shoulders to become more open. We're going to rise our body back up into that tabletop position. And so in our first part of the posture, we did some flexion, and we're continuing that flexion with child's pose. So now we're going to start taking our body into some more extension. So if it's comfortable that you can sit back onto your heels like so, then fabulous. You can go ahead and do that. If that's not comfortable, then you can just rise up on top of the knees like this. You may need a pad for your knees to make it a little bit softer to lean on. And so I'll start in this position and show the sitting back one, but we're just going to take our hands onto our bottoms like this and push forward, bring the elbows back together, arching through the spine and letting the neck come all the way up towards the ceiling. Allow the body to back bend. And my back bend might be a little bit deeper than your back bend. Maybe your back bend is only to right about here. And that's okay. This is just part of allowing the body to feel whatever your end range is. So again, if you're kneeling, you might be sitting back on these heels, taking the hands behind the body, and then arching backward this way. And we're going to start to come back forward, allowing ourselves to come to a neutral spine, whether you're on high knees or in the kneeling position. And then we're going to allow those arms to come out to a T position. I'm letting my thumbs come backward towards my body. I believe we did this last week in our practice. So we're going to go ahead and open up that chest, really lift through the heart. And we're going to bring the hands together back into prayer, and we're going to take a rotation from our kneel. So we're going to lift up. With our inhales, it is common that we link our inhales with lifting up through the spine and the exhale with going into a twist. So we're going to do that pattern. We're going to inhale up tall through the spine, and then as we exhale, start to rotate the body over towards the right. My hands are coming towards my heart center, and I'm allowing for that spine to stay nice and erect, and I'm using some of the core muscles to help create a oblique contraction that helps me to twist in this direction. So this is an active twist, whereas a passive twist, such as if I were to take my hand and use a little bit more leverage to help pull my body off to the side, that would be more of a passive assist twist. So we're using an active twist to kind of gain some core strength. So as we take our next inhale, we're going to allow ourselves to come back tall and unwind that twist back to neutral. And we'll take another inhalation breath here. As we exhale, let's come the other direction, starting to take that active twist the other way. And you may very well notice that They're not the same, one side versus another, and it's okay. Part of our yoga journey is to make observations without judgment when we practice our yoga postures. And if we can make those observations without judgment within ourselves, then we can translate that into our interactions with the rest of the world. Let's take our next inhale, allowing our spine to lift up tall and unwind, coming back towards the center. And we're just going to rest our hands onto our lap, sliding them down towards the mat, coming back into the tabletop position. We're going to take 3 rounds of cat and cow to just further connect our breath with our movements. So we're going to drop the belly and inhale, lifting up through the heart center, lifting up through the chest. As we exhale, we're going to round through the back, pushing into the earth, taking the chin towards the chest. Inhale, dropping the belly down, flaring the tailbone, lifting through the heart, lifting through the gaze. Exhale, rounding through the back, tucking the chin towards the chest. Inhale, lift. Exhale, round. Very nice. On your next inhale, we'll come back to just neutral, and we're going to take that right leg and we're going to slide it forward. And we need to shuffle back a little bit. So that right leg, we're going to come forward into a low lunge, dropping that hip down towards the floor, starting to bring some movement into the pelvis. So we've taken some time here to get our spine a little bit more limber. Now it's time to introduce some more of the pelvic motion. So this is hip extension. We're just being kind to that left hip by sending our breath to that area. I've just eaten, so I am catering some of these postures to a little bit more digestion. I've had quite a big meal, so my movements are a little slower here at the moment. Let's take another inhale, and as you inhale, I want you to still think about lifting tall, but now your angle isn't necessarily up towards the ceiling, but in the direction of your crown. So we're going to inhale, reaching out of the crown and maybe even reaching into the floor with that left knee so that you can feel an energetic pull in the opposite direction. As you exhale, we're going to go ahead and push back into the floor, sliding that leg back into the tabletop. I'm going to inch forward a little bit. We're going to take that same right leg and extend it to the back. And we're going to just push back into the floor, feeling the calf stretch on the back of that calf. And you can use the pressure of your fingertips to try and enhance that pull. And we're going to take that same right leg, inhale, floating it up to a 3-legged tabletop. And we're going to take that leg, cross it behind the other leg, and drop the ball of the foot down onto the mat. And what this will allow you to do is then look over the left shoulder and create a really nice side bend stretch on the right. So if I twist here, you can kind of see my leg out back. I'm bringing it back behind, dropping that foot down. And now when I look over my left shoulder, I've got a really nice curvature along the whole right side of the body. I'm creating some pressure against the floor, and I'm also kind of moving my hips against that so that I can really feel it along the entire side body. If you have some tight IT bands, this is going to be a nice beneficial stretch, kind of pulling that hip away from the trunk and torso. Certainly back pain will be catered to in this posture as well. And let's go ahead and take that leg. We're going to inhale, floating it back up. Let's stretch it out behind us and then release it back down towards the mat. And we'll take the same thing on the other side. So I'll stay facing you guys this time. The left leg, we're going to bring it up and forward, placing the sole of the foot onto the mat. And I'm just sinking and letting that right hip drop down towards the floor, creating a really nice hip flexor opening. And I can feel the breathlessness just because my food is moving around in the gut, which is fantastic. This is what you want to do. This thigh, although what looks like from the outsider's perspective is that we're getting a stretch on the front of the right hip, we are also getting compression into the abdomen. So this left thigh is pushing into my left belly. So it is part of the colon massage. And as you breathe, you're creating that nice rhythmic massage on top of the thigh. And so let's create the length, just as we did on the other side. So I'm going to lift tall through my neck and also kind of reach back into that left knee so that there's 2 points of direction, really pulling from the center of the body. Let's take another inhale. As you exhale, push into the floor, try and slide that leg back as smoothly as it allows, and we'll take that left leg and extend it to the back of our mat, pushing back into that calf at first, trying to get the initial calf stretch. And then we'll start to lean forward, lifting that leg back up into three-legged tabletop. Let's take the same left leg, we're gonna cross it over the body, coming into that side bend stretch now on the left, just requiring you to gaze over now the right shoulder, looking back towards those toes. You can kind of see here that I'm pushing my hips out to the side to enhance this side bend stretch, opening up through the ribs, IT band, the trunk. Let's go ahead and bring our gaze back forward. I'm gonna lift that leg up and release it back down into tabletop. And just to reset the body, let's take 3 more cat-cows. So we're gonna inhale, lifting up into cow. Exhale, rounding through the back for cat. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Fantastic. We're gonna come back down to our bottom. So if you prefer to sit on your heels, you can sit on your heels. If you want to sit more cross-legged or on top of an object or in a chair, all available to you. So we're gonna do a couple upper body stretches to just help enhance some of the upper back as well. And we'll start to tie in some of the neck stretching with that as well. So we're gonna start with our right arm. We're gonna rise it all the way up towards the ceiling and then flip your palm so it faces behind you and see if you can touch somewhere either on the back of your head or on the upper back area. This is a very tight stretch, as you may already be experiencing. I cannot even really get my arm up into that position. So this would be the active version of this stretch because I'm using my own muscle strength to try and reach this part of my body. But we're gonna make this one a little bit more passive and use the assistance of our other arm. So my left arm, I'm gonna bring it all the way up and over and try and make contact with that elbow. And I'm gonna pull it kind of behind the body so I can really feel a deep tricep stretch and also through my side body on the right. And it may feel good to kind of actually push yourself into a side bend stretch by just slightly biasing yourself towards that left side. We'll take a couple cycles of breath here. Attempting as much as you can to keep the body upright. I struggle with this stretch, so I'm a little bit more flexed. I need to continue to work on my extension to be a little bit more upright, but that's what we're all here to do, is to work together. Take one more cycle of breath. We're going to release the left arm, placing it on the mat, and then take some support. Go ahead and lean into that left arm, and then just extend that right arm so that you float into a side bend stretch. And what you very well may feel is kind of a rush of blood moving back through the arm and traveling down into the torso. We're okay with the sensation because we know that it's stimulating our nervous system to help give it the fuel that it needs in order to fire off all of our action and to receive the information from the outside world. Take a little bit of energy into the right hip so that it's not coming up with you into the stretch, but you're actually anchoring it down towards the mat and continuing to reach out of those fingertips. Let's take one more inhale, stretching through the fingers. And as you exhale, let's just release that arm back down towards our side body. Let's take a neck circle to break up the other side. So I'm going to take my right ear towards my right shoulder, And then we're gonna do a slow roll, dropping our chin towards our chest, rolling the left ear over towards the left shoulder, then allowing, if extension's comfortable for your neck, allowing yourself to gaze up and reach through your chin, finding your way all the way back towards the right ear, right shoulder. Let's go ahead and reverse that. So we're gonna come backwards, looking up, reaching your chin forward, dropping your left ear down, dropping the left chin to the, the only chin to the chest, and then swiveling back around towards the right ear to shoulder. And then we'll come back up to neutral. And then we're gonna take the left arm and change and do the other side. So we'll start by reaching that arm up, flip the palm backward, and see if you can make contact. Again, this is where you may notice some differences in the body. And so again, I struggle very tight through the shoulders. So I cannot hold myself further than this position, but if I position myself, I might be able to assist passively. I'm gonna take my right arm and inhale, sliding it all the way up, touching the elbow, pulling it behind the body, trying to expose the left side body. And then maybe biasing the side bend towards the right if that feels comfortable. Certainly not required, but maybe a little added bonus. Opening up the ribs. And let's take a couple breaths here. Very nice. Let's go ahead and take that right arm, just slither it down towards the mat and allow that to be your crutch as you extend the arm out into a nice side bend stretch. Seeing how that floats into just a nice, beautiful connection. Keep the left hip from floating up with you, and we'll try and keep it anchored down, whether you're kneeling or sitting like I am. We'll just create that nice energetic stretch, fingertips far away from the hip. Let's go ahead and release that left arm all the way back down towards our side body. Very nice. Let's take both arms. We're just gonna, we're gonna even out and do that neck thing one more time. So we're gonna take the left ear down towards the left shoulder. Tuck the chin towards your chest and go ahead and take that roll all the way around. We're loosening up everything in the neck and shoulders. Take the chin all the way up towards the ceiling, opening up through your throat, dropping the left ear down towards the left ear again. And then we're gonna reverse that action, coming all the way backwards, lifting through the chin, rounding through the neck, dropping the chin towards your chest, making the left ear's way back over towards your left ear. Perfect. And we'll rise, coming back up to neutral. Let me check in on my time. All right, we're at 22 minutes and 50 odd some seconds, so we're doing good. We still have time to do a little bit more. I'd like to complete the rest of our practice laying on our back. So I think we'll be okay with my phone this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and just swivel around. You guys can get to your back however you would like. I'm gonna stretch my legs out straight and lying on my back. Let's slide the right knee up. All right, let me come over here. What I'm doing is very simple, but I'd rather you hear me. So, right leg, we're gonna bring it up into the chest. Now, the opposite leg, you can have it bent, and I want you to let your back be the dictator of that. So if that other leg out straight feels a little uncomfortable and your back is arching, then go ahead and just bend that knee to push into the floor to make it easier to flatten the spine. I'm taking both hands. We call this a white knuckle grip. So we're gonna grip around the front of the shin, or if this compresses the knee too much, you can always take that grip right behind the thigh like so. If it's very difficult to reach the back of this leg, then that's where a prop may come in handy. You can loop it around like a towel or perhaps a yoga strap of some sort, and maybe you'd be pulling with your arms with that assist. So whatever grip you've chosen, we're gonna take that leg and we're gonna pull it kind of around the body. So if I were to pull directly into my belly, I'm gonna get stuck, but I'm gonna kind of pull it around the outside of my ribs, trying to approach that right knee towards my right shoulder. And I wanna prevent this like rounding through the body to do this stretch. We wanna actually use active strength. So squeeze those shoulder blades together so they actually compress up against the floor, and then pull with your strong biceps to get that leg a little bit closer. So again, I'm doing a little bit of digestive sort of postures tonight. So in this posture, it's really important that you can feel the connection of your breath with your body. So as we inhale here, you may feel the sensation of your belly rising and pressing against that thigh. Once you feel that compression, that's great. We're gonna pause for a moment. As you exhale, you're gonna release the belly, which will draw back into the body. And now you have space. You're gonna pull that thigh into that newly created space, trying to take it just a little bit deeper. And while this is a fantastic stretch for the back of your buttocks and the back of the thigh and your lower back as well, we're actually creating some digestive properties for the ascending part of our colon. And then we'll go ahead and release that leg back down. We're going to draw the left knee into our chest. Again, this other leg can go out straight, but let your back be the dictator. If you did that arch like that, then go ahead and just keep it bent, make it easier for you to feel connected with your spine. We want to feel aligned. Now, same white knuckle grip, but maybe this time, and everybody has a natural grip. I want you to do the opposite. It's going to feel awkward. Whatever thumb normally crosses over the other, cross the opposite one. I know it feels awkward. It feels awkward for me right now. But we want to try and promote as much symmetry as we can. We may not actually achieve symmetry, but it's in our intention that we gain the benefits. So I'm going to pull the left knee towards the left shoulder, and we'll start to take some breathing. Shh, I'm still live. Shh. Thank you. We're going to squeeze those shoulder blades back down towards the floor. Taking those few rhythmic breaths, feeling the belly press up into the thigh. As you exhale, pull the navel back in, create some space by pulling that thigh in a little bit deeper. This is now addressing your descending colon, as well as the left glute and the lower back and the back of the hamstring. Very good. Now we can just release that leg for a moment if you want to just stretch your legs out straight. I know you can't see them, but my legs just went out straight for a moment, and then I want to bring the knees back in. Now we're going to bring both knees into the chest. So for this one, we're going to bring them in nice and close. Take your arms, wrap them around the front of the shins, and you may be able to grab your fingertips, you may be able to grab your wrists, you may not be able to grab anything, and that's where, again, another support, or even just grabbing one hand on each thigh is sufficient. If you can grab the elbows, that's fantastic. You'll get really nice, strong compression through the belly that way. I'm just going to take my wrist tonight because, again, I am a little full. So then I'm going to pull the thighs a little bit closer and start to breathe into both thighs at the same time. And this posture helps to massage the transverse colon. So collectively, we've got a really nice abdominal massage, excellent for your motility, excellent for digestion. And of course, digestion is really the source of all of our fuel and energy and how we are alive. So we want to cater to the body in that way. So if you're feeling a little, fullness, then these are excellent postures to help you move things along. And last but not least, we're going to take this into just another variation where we slide the arms onto the inside of the thighs and see if you can grab your feet. This is called happy baby posture. And so you might grab your feet, or you can also take your index and middle fingers, which are known as peace fingers, and you can grab your big toes and you can actually row. So imagine that you're lifting weights and you're doing a row. You're going to create that action with your arms. So we still want to squeeze the shoulder blades. Now we've got active release. The feet are facing up towards the ceiling, the soles of the feet, and my legs are very much on the outside of my body. They're wrapping around the ribs, creating a lot of space. And babies like to be rocked, so feel free to rock your baby a little bit side to side, feeling that nice massage against your lower back and the floor. It's a very relaxing posture. At the end of the day, we are all trying to just restore ourselves back to our original source, which whenever we do things that are in the womb-like, then they are certainly restorative in nature. So from this point now, you might choose to grab an alarm if this is not your last stop of the day, but you do want to participate in Shavasana. If you are looking to let this be your last stop of the day and drift off into sleep, then you can certainly prepare for bedtime and just let this be a really nice lullaby for you. And then we'll let those legs come out straight going into Shavasana. I'll allow you to come into your positioning here with the palms facing up, legs out straight and extended, and we're relaxed through the upper body, maybe tucking those shoulders underneath so the chest is open. I'm gonna come over here so I can speak to the camera. And I do fantastic with time. I always run a few over, but here we are. And so life doesn't always go as smoothly as you'd like it to, as we've had multiple examples in my video this evening, and so we'll use it to our advantage. And, you know, I've had interruptions at the door and interruptions with my dog and my mother and my husband, so they're all there. But sometimes we might have interruptions in the outer world, but we do in our inner world and in what happens in our mind. And so it's our choice on how we're going to react to that. You can get angry, you can swear, and you can be upset and throw a tantrum, or you can choose to just be aware that those things are happening and choose to let them pass and let them go. That is the beauty of mindfulness, and hopefully you'll see my, although minor frustration, but then quick recovery back into the moment and back into what's important, which is this yoga practice right now. So take a few nice, long, deep breaths into the body. And when you release that breath, truly feel like you are releasing whatever it is that you've been holding on to that isn't serving you. Some toxicity of your day, maybe an interaction with another individual, maybe your work day, whatever the case may be. Let that exhale be your sweet release. And perhaps let all of your attention just focus on that exhalation phase. The bigger the inhale, the bigger the exhale you're going to be able to make. So take in all that you deserve with your inhale and release all that you don't need with your exhale. It has been my honor and privilege to take you through your yoga practice this evening. The light and honor in me respects and honors the light within all of you, all two of you. Thank you for being consistent and joining me every Monday night. Namaste, my friends. I'll see you next time.